greet our friends everywhere with Chapter 9 of Hudson and Maria, Pioneers in China. This is another in the series, Stories of Great Christians, produced by the Department of Broadcasting, Moody Bible Institute, Chicago. Hudson Taylor was dismayed at the reaction of his fellow missionaries to his decision to dress as a Chinese and to dye his hair and wear a pigtail. Almost without exception, Taylor was rejected as a crackpot and a fanatic. Nursing bruised feelings, but with optimism, Taylor left Shanghai and opened a clinic in Sungming, a large island in the mouth of the Yangtze River. His work was a success, so much so that the Chinese doctors had him driven out and a complaint lodged against him with the British consul. Hudson again returned to Shanghai in very low spirits.
A letter from Elizabeth. This will be a ray of sunshine.
And although I dread to trouble you, Hudson, or to cause you any pain in a life I fear already too familiar with unpleasantness, but I myself have been deeply troubled of late. I find my heart strangely undecided, and I am asking myself over and over, do I love Hudson? I am praying that these doubts may be resolved, dear friend, and that the next letter you receive from me may be full of good cheer and further plans to join you in that strange, and to me sometimes terrifying land. I am very truly your Elizabeth.
Your Elizabeth. Oh, Elizabeth, you can't doubt. I can't bear it, not this too, Lord. Change her mind. Fix her purpose on China. Oh, Lord, don't leave me here alone, without a wife, without a friend.
Be ye Hudson Taylor?
Yes?
Good. I've heard of you.
Come in.
I be William Burns, missionary.
Oh, and I've heard of you. You used to be a revivalist back in Scotland.
That I did. But I read the writing on the cottage walls. No more of that blethering for me. Say, lad, you've bonny duddies.
I've what?
Bonny duddies. You look Chinese.
Oh, you approve of my Chinese clothes?
Aye, your duddies. Bonny indeed.
Thank you. Excuse me, it's funny to call these clothes bunny duddies. I'm sorry, I don't always follow you Scots as well as I should.
You and I are going preaching together.
Huh? Oh, I don't know.
Aye, you do. You don't want to sit about in this miserable wee house. What's the like of you doing in Shanghai anyhow?
Oh, well, it's a long story.
Put a pot in the fire and let's hear it. We'll be snug enough side by side for the longest crack, although it's a feckless fire you have.
Oh, well, I have more wood. And some water in the kettle for tea.
Good. And now you're going to tell me why a mon like you is sitting with such a gash spunk before your wee fire.
A gash spunk?
Ah, you dinna think your face is cheery, do you? You're like a man bereaved.
Well, as a matter of fact, I feel bereaved. Just before you came in, I received this letter from my young lady. She isn't sure she...
Ah, you dinna want a new-made wife. Full of rippish freaks they are.
Mr. Burns, I finally did learn Chinese, but I'm not sure I can follow your Highland speech. I never could, even at home, understand the Highlanders.
I speak perfectly plain. What have I said you can't follow?
Well, rippish freaks. You said a wife is full of them.
Rippish, particular, fussy, fastidious nonsense. You've got to be coming and washing for them the whole day long, and fechting and loping about every time you hear their petticoats rustle, and bringing a red rose and keeping the fire lunting. There's no end to it all. You don't want a new-made wife.
Well, that's not the chief reason for my discouragement. I had a good clinic going in Sungming. I was driven out.
What's this? And if the Lord of Hosts had wanted you to stay in Tsung Ming, he would have smitten your adversaries to the ends of the earth. What's this ye say about the Lord of the Sabbath? He couldn't keep you where he wanted you.
Well, I never thought of it like that. I was just preparing a petition for the consulate, demanding that I be permitted to return.
Rot! You didn't need a paper from the consulate to make a highway to this land for Emmanuel. What's wrong with you, man, to wear such a gash spunk in the service of the King of Kings?
I don't know. I don't know. There's no reason.
None at all. Come on, wee Taylor. You and I are going preaching together.
And there is one last thing. It's a simple thing, really. Something as easy as a leaf falling into a stream. You must decide to put your trust in this Savior. You merely give your life to Him for His use, for His glory. And then you yourselves will know the joy and peace that I have in belonging to Jesus Christ, the one true God.
Hudson Taylor, it's astonishing, man. In all my time in China, I haven't seen such a tainty crude. The people are sae whisht as ye preach.
Wished?
Aye.
Oh, come now, Burns. Wished?
Hushed, man.
Oh,
I'll never make a Scot out of the like of you.
1,000 pardons, honorable teacher.
Oh, yes?
I am only a humble doctor of medicine. I have but a poor home. But if you would honor me by coming to my home, I would be most grateful.
Well, thank you. It would be my honor. I'll get my books and be right with you.
That settles it.
I'm sorry he didn't invite you, Burns. I won't be very long, I don't expect.
I'm nothing but a rattlebag in these clothes.
What?
When I preach, I've got a string of saucy lads tagging after me, calling me names, and a crowd shouting and pushing to get a better look at me. But when you preach, they're all whisht. They hear you out, man.
Well, it's me duddies, William.
Aye. When next ye see William Burns, you'll nae see a Scot. I'll look enough like ye to be your brother. Perish the thought.
Good for you, Burns. I don't know if I can stand to wait for the transformation. To see William Burns in Chinese clothes. You know, now I know why all the other missionaries were so charmed by me. It's going to be a sight.
For the glory of God, I'll wear worse than Chinese dress. Be ye gone with your doctor, friend, and I'll see ye in a wee while.
Ah, it's such a treat to welcome someone to Shanghai, Dr. Delaporte. Such a treat. Oh, won't you have more pork?
Thank you.
I'm afraid we've a rather dull, although we hope productive, life here, George.
Yes, since young Hudson Taylor left us, we've had very little excitement, actually.
Now, Mrs. Lockhart. I say, a marvelous missionary, Taylor. I recently stayed with him and William Burns in Swatow.
Swatow? Where on earth is that?
Oh, I'd say it's about 1,000 miles to the south.
1,000 miles? Taylor, is that far inland?
It's a port, but not a treaty port. It's really evil place. I'm amazed.
His partner, William Burns, is going Chinese, too.
I can't believe it. William Burns? Why, he's a well-known missionary. He's been here for years.
They're doing a great work there. Hudson is killing himself. But he's held in great respect.
But it's an impossible place, isn't it? Slave trading, kidnapping, opium.
Yes, the people are wild. It's been a miracle of God's care that those two men found a place to stay and haven't been murdered for their possessions.
I don't know. Everything about Hudson is so irregular.
His mission society hasn't taken care of him at all, you know. They just don't send his support money.
Yes, I say, how does he get on?
People hear about him and send him money. George Mueller in Bristol is always sending him some. And some other people.
It distresses him, though, that his society has not honored its promise of support.
And then he's supposed to be getting married to a girl in England who's to be coming out. But she doesn't seem too anxious to make the trip.
Yes.
His personal problems must be pressing upon him, poor chap.
If they are, they aren't stopping his work at all. When I saw him, he was sunburned, his face covered with blisters from the heat, preaching and doctoring for hours at an end. Actually looking more Chinese than the natives.
He is amazing, but totally disorganized. I doubt if his affairs will ever be in order.
Well, I think the Lord will take care of his own. And if anyone enjoyed the care of the Almighty, it's Hudson.
Yes. It's said he has special care of fools and children.
Hudson, you gave me a start, man. What are you doing louping about in the middle of the night?
Oh, I'm sorry, William. Go back to sleep.
What's the trouble?
It's nothing. Well, it's everything. Well, it's a great lack of faith, I suppose.
You're working too hard, man. I've been telling you to rest more. The heathen, like the poor, we have always with us.
Well, I keep thinking, should I go back to England and try to persuade Elizabeth to come out? Should I quit the Chinese Evangelization Society? The scandal might ruin them. I feel I can't expose them to such public shame. But what's the use of my connection with them? I'm tied to them for no reason.
Oh, Hudson.
But if I quit the society, and then Elizabeth will never marry me, William. She'd be afraid to come out here with no one behind us.
She doesn't seem to be coming anyway.
Oh, sometimes I think I ought to go home and finish my medical work. But then I can't leave China.
And you're no meant to. Why, the work here?
Oh, but I'm a weak man. There's something in my nature that must have love and sympathy.
I've been praying for your troubles, Hudson. Praying much. And you said you were going to get a medical instrument, if you could.
Well, Dr. Parker has a surplus that he might sell at a very good price, but and I'd have to go to Ningpo for that.
Aye. You need a rest and a change. The journey would be cool and restful, and getting your proper equipment is important.
Yes, well, I guess I could preach all the way up. William, do you think you'd be all right here alone?
Alone? Since when will I be alone? The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge.
And underneath are the everlasting arms.
Aye, it's settled then. You'll mak for Ningpo. And when I see you go without telling you, I'll miss you, lad.
Well, it won't be goodbye for long.
Maybe not. Now get some sleep, lad. Dear lad.
You have heard Chapter 9 of Hudson and Maria, Pioneers in China. This is another in the series, Stories of Great Christians, produced by the Department of Broadcasting, Moody Bible Institute, Chicago.